Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. We have an amazing guest on today. His name is Nate Gray. Can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Um, let's see. I was born in the late 80s. Um, I was created um with mutant DNA. My parents' DNA was mixed with mutant DNA when I was I think an embryo, and I was programmed um with code words and poems to control my abilities. And I've learned stuff about aliens that most people don't know. Does Department of Naval Intelligence considered me for recruitment when I got out of high school. And I've encountered some weird people with mutations and some weird aliens. And I think it's interesting enough for me to talk about it. I was also in the troubled teen system when I was a teenager, so I've spent about 6 months of my life living outside. So sometimes I interview people that have been through that system because it's pretty abusive. And I run ypxnews.com and supersoldierforum.com. Those are my two websites if y'all want to check them out.
Thank you for holding that.
Big
There's a lot of
YPX here.
unique individuals on there when I explored it. Yeah, and very inspiring and helping build a community. So how did this all start for you in knowing about it? Because past the amnesia and the things trying to make it so that you don't know about this, and try to keep you in the matrix, I think with most people.
Um, it's weird. Because for a while I forgot who I was and forgot about the aliens. Kind of like um, Kay in the Men in Black series where they denormalized him and then they brought him back. Um, so I went through a period where I'd forgotten about all this stuff and I just thought I was normal. And I figured the aliens were just bad dreams. Then I relearned that it was all real, which was an interesting experience. Now I'm going to go to the 2024 Full Disclosure Now conference to talk about it in a week. So I got my slides ready for that. Um, yep.
Yeah, thank you. I'll also be presenting there. So if you guys want to sign up for that, go to fulldisclosuremovement.org. So what are you going to be doing your presentation for people to get excited about?
Do you want
And for those, uh, please try to go. And if you can't, that it will be streaming online. So,
yeah. Hmm.
so what will your project be? Your presentation be about?
Aliens, human mutation, and different mutants I've encountered and different experiences I've experienced.
Okay,
Uh,
that's
yeah.
a large topic. So, without giving away like the juicy details of your presentation, um, yeah, we can go into each one of those topics. So mutations. Not many people are talking about that. Can you tell us a little bit about what you know about those?
Um, some people are born with them or they happen during adolescence. My case is a little unusual because I was created. I wasn't born by one on accident. I'm the only person I've met who I know is like that, but I imagine they probably improved things since the late 80s when I was born. Um, in some ways, I'm kind of a mistake because of the amount of like health problems I have, and I'm defective in some ways. So I hope they've gotten better at genetic engineering since I was created. But I think I was one of the prototypes. And Peter the Insider said he's met 3 of my clones. So they've reused my DNA. Some of my DNA comes from Jean Grey. I've been told her real name is Jessica Simpson, but I'm not sure. I've never met her. I think she died a long time ago. Um, I vaguely remember meeting Cyclops, and he told me I had her eyes, which are a little different than Cable's eyes. I think his eyes are brown, if I remember correctly. But he also has some DNA from that bloodline. Um, yeah, I did my ancestry stuff um recently, and it said that I'm descended from Jesus. I just learned that a couple weeks ago. So I guess I got an interesting bloodline. My great grandfather was a high level Freemason. Um, let's see. Um, yeah, so do you have any other questions?
For the audience, what, so, for the audience in building their awareness, uh, we are in the super soldier, community in people that, um, have been abducted by the military in my lab, to be genetically augmented and programmed, as well as be used in projects and their abilities utilized, as well as to spur evolution and then know how to use that for interactions with future militaries that use them in wars, in as well as current secret space program in underground bases, my DUMBs, the deep underground military bases, as well as off planet in colonization, in as well wars against hostile terrestrial races. And
Okay.
your are with I want to ask your specific belief in this. I've heard people talk about versions of beings in projects that's inspired the writing for certain Marvel and DC comics, as well as possible beings that are like that and then take on the code word or are similar, as well as other timeline versions of these beings that Earth spurs more evolutionary processes towards humanity, see what happens, with also problems that go along with that, to see how the best ways to bring it onto this timeline. What is your current belief with how you've accumulated data, with interaction with secret space programs, super soldiers, military, and the disclosure interaction with X-Men and Marvel and DC?
Um, let's see. I learned about the Dumbs from J Ridge. That was his call sign. He was the guy that tried to recruit me to DNI when I went out of high school. Um, I've learned that the Marvel comics are loosely based off of real people. The DC ones are not. Um, let's see.
How'd you
The
find out
Dumb-
about that, if you don't mind me asking? Because not many people are privy to that.
I asked John Rath, who's his real name's Tilford, but he's the black guy from Origins Wolverine that can teleport. So I asked him about it, and he said the movie was actually pretty accurate, which I was surprised by. Hmm. He actually survived his encounter with Sabretooth, but it messed up his back. So he's a back injury. Um, yeah. And
Yes. Um, how many people would you say are, uh, that you've met are interacting in this type of hidden world?
I don't know, not too many. Some psychics and some other people are not depicted in the comics who have these abilities. Some people depicted in the comics probably aren't based on real people. Well, I met people with some weird mutations. Like the fighter Boss Rutan has a mutation where he can't be knocked out. The funny part is he's always been an X-Men fan since he was a kid, but he's actually been studied, and that's his mutation. His brain doesn't get the signal to be knocked out when you punch him. Um, yeah, so people have different mutations. Um, one of mine is retractable testicles, so I can take a kick to the balls easier. Let's see, I got one of the stranger ones that's not in the comics is from the scar right here. I don't know if you can see it, but basically a bone comes out of this scar, and I assume I was created with it to be used as a weapon of some kind. It's not plated in metal or anything, it's just a bone. But it's similar to the bone that Dakin has, but he has two of them. They come out of both wrists, not just his left wrist, and they also come out of his knuckles. So it comes out of his wrist and his knuckles. And he has heel factor. I don't have heel factor. I've never had it. Even when I was young, I never had it. So I don't know why I have Dakin's bone, but no heel factor. And Dakin's Wolverine's son. Hmm.
Okay.
But it kind of reminds me of that weapon the character in Assassin's Creed has that he just pulls out of his wrist.
Yeah, yeah. It
Um,
also reminds me of Baraka and Mortal Kombat.
yeah.
Okay, cool. And yeah, did you want to go into the presentation first, or do you want to, because I got a fair amount of questions I can ask you. I just didn't know if you'd answer them in the presentation.
Okay.
Whatever you want to share.
You want me to share my screen now?
Sure.
Okay. I need to make one on dumbs now that I think about it. Okay, this is me. I was born in the late 80s. I was genetically modified with mutant DNA. I've encountered extraterrestrials. I've worked as an artist, a security chief, and a martial artist. Right now, I'm an IT and cybersecurity student and a volunteer for the Kennedy campaign. I like Kennedy because he's going to declassify all this UFO and MK Ultra stuff if he can. And I was considered for DNI. Here's my slide on the small grays. I remember seeing one of these as a kid, and that's pretty much what they look like. And this is a picture from Victor's alien interview. They communicate psychically, and supposedly they're from Zeta Articuli, and they gave a bunch of spacecraft to DNI in exchange for humans and cows, is what Jay Ridge taught me. And they visited me as a child. Uh, I don't know as much about the large grays, but I think they look something like that. Um, I have a video of about the Dracos that you can find on my YouTube channel,
Yeah, wow.
Nate YPX Gray. If you look it up on YouTube, I'm not gonna play the video here. Here's the one I have on Nordic aliens. The weird thing about Nordic aliens, a lot of people don't know, is some of them can feel colors. They can close their eyes and touch something and tell you what color it is. Some of them are telepathic, and some of them can speak and hear in frequencies that Earth humans can't hear and speak in. And these are some depictions of them. I think I've seen them, but it's hard to know. It's kind of trippy. Here's the concept art for Nate Gray that came out when I was like 7.
Can you tell me a
And
little bit about that in like, so I know that he's the son of Jean Grey and
it's like,
Cyclops,
yeah,
and is one of the main, concepts for the whole name X-Men, as that is taken as the name, and is one of the most potent psionic beings on the planet, as an omega level mutant. Can you talk a little bit more of what inspired that for you in taking the moniker?
well, before I was born, there wasn't a name for a mutant above alpha level. So I thought it would be cool to call that omega level because the word omega was in Revelations. I didn't know what the word omega meant, but I thought it sounded cool. So that coined the term omega level. And you can see right here that the eyes are going to the back of his head. This is the only depiction of Nate Gray like that. The reason that they're doing that is because when I was young, when I lifted things with my mind, my eyes would go to the back of my head and I would lose vision of what I was lifting. So I was actually not very good at telekinesis rather. Um, let's see. The coloration um, was, and he sort of has this utility belt thing he doesn't really use. I wanted him to have Rogue's hair because Rogue was my favorite X-Man. And I just thought the name X-Man sounded cool, even though I never got into the X-Men. The group, because Storm didn't like me because I sympathized with Magneto or something. I failed the interview process. Storm was in charge at the time. The professor had been dead at that point. Now I think the X-Men are defunct. Um,
Like they're disbanded?
yeah. Um, let's see. So I talked to about the concept at my tutor's place called Yssah. My tutor knew what I was, even though my parents didn't. Her name was Miss White. She's dead now. But I remember she brought out an empty box, like a cardboard box, and asked me to lift the box. And I could barely lift the box, and my eyes went to the back of my head, and then I had a horrible migraine. Um, so using that ability can cause horrible migraines. which I get anyway. So it might be a side effect from the telekinesis or the telepathy, getting migraines. Yeah. I don't know why the eye does that. I'm not the one that made that decision on the eye. I know Cable's eye does something like that, but I don't remember my eye ever doing that for some reason. I don't know. That's always been kind of a mystery to me about the energy that comes out of the eye. Why Nate Gray's depicted that way, and I've never really figured that out.
Uh,
Um,
what kind of ability, yeah, you might answer this, it's like, what kind of abilities do you have in memory about? And if that is your slides, feel free to continue.
um, let's see. Um, when I was very young, um, I think they used me to question Raymond Chow, if I remember correctly, the triad boss. I want to say it was someone like him. And all I cared about was getting my next snack. So I kind of uh, gave up my ability to read minds because I wanted a snack so bad. Um, that I transferred my ability to him or something, which was really stupid. But one of the mutants that is identical to me was named Damien Choppa. I don't know if he's depicted in the comics. He's a little bit like Legion. His power, according to Peter the Insider, the guy that James Rink interviews, is that he could trade powers with people. He could gift powers. So, yeah, gifting powers is kind of a mistake. I guess when I was young, gifting some of my abilities was a stupid thing to do.
Would you take them
Um,
back if you could?
I don't think so.
Do you not want them back? Is it because they come with, uh, you know, more targeting?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, sometimes I'm good at predicting stuff before it happens. And people will say, "Can you predict something like 9/11?" And I'll be like, "No, I just predict stuff that happens in my life or people that I know that are close to me. I don't predict like major events like that." Um, hmm. It's just like little things like, should I bring my backpack with me this morning? I might need something in my backpack. It's like I get little thoughts in my head telling me to do certain things before they happen. Um, Stuff like that. Sometimes I use thought projection. So I'm better at projecting thoughts than reading thoughts. Jean Grey was really good at names. I suck at names. I can't remember anyone's name. But she could walk up to someone and read their name from their without ever talking to them and know what their name is. For some reason, I was never really able to do that. Um, but yeah, I've used thought projection to as a non-lethal way to punish my enemies by putting traumatizing thoughts in their head. Um, Stuff like that.
Motives. Uh, uh, I was going in, amending the topic, if you, there's something called soul retrieval, power retrieval, memory retrieval, in which you can reclaim lost or stolen uh, part of yourself, ability, and memory. What are you interested in reclaiming more of who you are?
Yeah, I don't know if it could be done. I mean, I've been hypnotized, probably had my brain shocked, um, had hypnotic lights flashed in my eyes, um, stuff like that.
Okay, can you talk, before the show, you went into the concept of being nerfed. As I think many other people watching this can relate, the concept of where they may have had memories, dreams, visions, astral experiences, may experienced a whole nother realm or timeline in which they had unique abilities, and at the end of it, uh, them taken away or limited in some way. Can you talk a little bit of what you know about nerfing?
Um, I'm not exactly sure how they do it. I know they can put chips in some people to control them, like they did with Duncan O'Finian or Michael Spindler. Um, in my case, I haven't found any chips on my body that could control my abilities. I just know that I've been hypnotized and flashed and probably had my brain shocked. So I forget how to use my abilities, or I can only use them when I'm told to use them. Um, in the comics, they say Nate Gray was nerfed by a machine called the Omega Machine that took his powers away. So in the comics, he loses most of his powers because of a machine that did it to him. Um,
I've read
so
this.
yeah, yeah, that's actually in the comics. Hmm.
Interesting. I've tuned into this in my readings of myself and other people in well, there's multiple types of machines depending on the group. ET groups, they have it more slow size and handheld. I once had a big, really HD dream of being able to teleport around and it being very fun and freeing. And I kept getting chased by this Orion Nordic, and it kept zapping me with his gun. And every time I got zapped with his gun from place to place, it would take more of my abilities away. And at the end of it, um, they were all gone, and I was extremely sad, and I woke up crying. Uh, and I was like, "What the hell was that?" And I had to tune into like when, why, where, how that works. Um, yeah, so but then there's all these bigger machines I read that they like are some are chairs and headgear and this stuff that either programs them into altars locked away so that they can utilize the person, or they outright steal them. Sometimes the ability goes away if they fully steal it. So then they'll have to set up some energy harvesting system that drains it entirely and makes so the person can't use it, but the being draining it utilizes it. Yeah, and any more you wanted to go into the nerfing subject?
It's a mystery to me exactly how they do it, but they definitely did it.
Um,
Uh,
yeah, I think it's to limit people that could change the timeline for beings that are in control. People that want to maintain that domination or state of chaotic order. And if they have remote viewing and looking glass technology to see who would be limiting and messing with the timeline, then they would want to program that person to imprison those abilities away or steal them. Okay, yeah, feel free to go more into your slide.
okay. So, I remember being at Disneyland as a kid, and um, a mutant named Trinity, I think I pronounced it right, something like that, who is a African American female. Not sure what her ability is, but I've encountered her a few times. Um, asked me some questions about making a comic about myself. So I thought up the X-Men -1 comic while we were playing video games at Disneyland. And yeah, I wasn't really raised by Sinister, but the people that created me were probably pretty sinister people. I don't know exactly who they were, but that's a scene from the X-Men -1 comic. It's the only one that actually depicts Nate Gray, the age I was when the comic came out, because I was like 7. And this is a depiction of Nate Gray with Morbius's reflexes. Somehow I remember being tested and having super fast reflexes. And I was told that they were Morbius's reflexes, not Quicksilver's. I'm not sure how they did it or how they took the reflexes away, but I was incredibly fast um, and strong for a little while. And they gave me a power grid. The intelligence on the power grid went way down from what it used to be. So I used to be intelligent for my age. Now I just have like regular intelligence, like a 2. My strength is regular, unless I use telekinesis to enhance it. Um, my speed's really fast if I'm doing whatever they did that made me as fast as Morbius. I'm durable and my energy projections supposedly off the charts. And my fighting abilities are pretty good because I've done lots of Krav Maga and Thai boxing and jiu-jitsu and stuff. Um, yeah, so the time I remember using the telekinesis to enhance my strength was to break out of handcuffs, which kind of damaged my shoulders. Um, it made them gumby for a little while. I used to be able to touch my elbow to my arm that way, but now my arms have tightened up. Um, let's see. Here's me with Trinity. Um, yeah, this is kind of misleading. We played video games together, but yeah, I didn't have like a romantic relationship with her or anything. Um, let's see, Storm. She doesn't look like Halle Berry. She does manipulate weather. She has white lines in her hair. It's like black with white lines. Um, she sparred with me once when I was 18. Um, yeah, when she was sparring with me, she tried to get me to use my telekinesis on her, which wouldn't have done much of anything. Lifting her an inch off the ground wouldn't have done much, or pushing her over wouldn't have done much. So I used thought projection to put traumatizing thoughts in her head. And I hadn't spoken to her since I was at room 17.
What's room 17?
And then there's John Rath. It's a room at Methodist Hospital when I was hospitalized. Um, he's featured at, I was visited by a lot of mutants when I was there. It was a weird experience. I met John Rath there too. He was featured in Origins Wolverine. He teleports. He was a super soldier. His spine was damaged. And let's see, there's Scott Summers. I don't know if I'm related to him or not. It might be misleading, deliberately misleading information. Um, and I got some traits in common with him, but I'm not sure that my eyes don't do anything weird and I don't hula hoop red energy or anything like that. Um, hmm. Yeah, he asked me if I can give him a positive mental experience with Jean, and I didn't do that. I was really rude to him, so he never wanted to meet with me again. And my memories were tampered with after I met with him, so it's really hard to remember. It feels like a dream. Then here's Cable. He's similar to me, physically, as far as how he looks, is what I've been told. He travels to different timelines too. I vaguely remember a timeline with Egyptian gods, his timelines from the future. Here's Magneto. Storm told me he died in the 60s. I heard a rumor that he really did lift an anchor in his prime. When I was a child, I was asked if I could lift an anchor, and I couldn't. Sympathizing with him made Storm hate me. In the New Mutant 97 cartoon, it shows Storm like defending Magneto, jumping in the way of him. That's the last thing the real Storm would do. She hated Magneto. She would never jump in the way of someone trying to hurt Magneto. She hated him. And she told me she killed Toad. So she said that she killed Toad. Hmm. Here's Rogue. She didn't really have a relationship with Magneto and wasn't able to touch him. I made great Nate Gray's hair look like hers. Um, I heard that she actually like dyes her hair red to get rid of the skunk head look, but I've never met her, so I don't know for sure. There's Beast. He builds stealth planes and drives planes. I remember talking to him on the phone, but I don't remember seeing him, at least not right now. And I met a pilot who flew with him. There's Jean Grey. Um, I was told her real name was Jessica Simpson. She's deceased. I'm I was created with her DNA. So I have some telepathy and telekinesis, at least in the past, before. And going back to aliens,
Yeah.
this
What?
is Bob Lazar. Do you
Yeah.
have a question?
Yeah. If I don't want to take everything from what you're going to talk about in the presentation. What kind of ETs have you interacted with, or have memories of?
Small gray, insectoid, reptilian, probably Nordic. Um, um, yeah, that's all I can remember right now. And these guys.
And
Some people call them worms. I've encountered them.
ooh,
Not many people have encountered them for some reason, but I have.
interesting. What do you do you remember anything about them?
They like coffee. They can talk. Um, they visited me in my room when I was a kid and offered to play Legos with me. And I wanted them to stop visiting me because they made me sound crazy when I talked about them. Um, hmm,
And you
let's
said I don't know everything about the comic mythology for Nate Gray. Did you say he was created genetically um, with
Yeah. Hmm.
Scott genes DNA? Did you say something about a sinister guy?
Yeah, Sinister created Nate Gray as a test tube baby.
Now it may not be exactly like the comments or anything. What do you have you heard stories about people that are, let's say dark sorcerers or people that dark geneticists that mad scientists that manipulate people and make clones and mutants and possibly use that research to gain power themselves.
Well, in the new series, Mr. Sinister says that he knew Joseph Mengele from World War II. But yeah, I'm sure there are lots of sinister scientists out there creating people like me. They're trying to create a weapon, someone that can either be used as a weapon or can create a weapon. Like if you can, like if a bone comes out of your wrist, you can be used as a weapon. If you can be hypnotized, you can be used as a weapon. If you're like Beast and you can make a stealth plane, you can create a weapon. So yeah, they're just obsessed with weapons and stuff. It's like all the government cares about. Um, hmm.
If you were to guess, uh, for like one of the, I read in people that are getting nerfed or neutered in their psionic abilities, a lot of it's they're getting their abilities stolen, maybe the generator for a power stolen, or if that can be undone if it falls in the wrong hands, utilize it off a person and drain from them constantly. Who would you guess both in human category as well as ET category might be stealing it from?
Like stealing our powers?
Yeah.
I don't know. Energy vampires, I guess.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Do you think they are high up in the type of projects that you've experienced?
Yeah, I mean, let's see. They're sinister. Hmm. Um, yeah, I don't know much about the scientists. I knew a DNI engineer named Neil Kelly. Um, he shadowed me as a kid. Do I have a slide for Neil Kelly? I don't know. I don't think I have one for Neil Kelly. Hmm. Yeah, but yeah, he was a retired DNI engineer. He told me he didn't know that Sinister was real, but I think we both came to the conclusion that Sinister might have been real. I don't know for sure, but yeah, it's possible Sinister is real. I know the government has some sinister ex-Nazi scientists from Operation Paperclip, probably all dead now, but they might have still been alive in the 80s.
The reason I ask is for myself, I have you know, headaches and throat pain and stabbing in the heart and heavinesses that when I read what they are and resolve them, they go away. And you know, that when I close my eyes and I track them back, they go back to the things under Washington, D.C. and New York and Montauk and underground bases and people that are hooked up to machines that amplify their sonic ability to steal things, as well as personnel that are involved in dark demonic rituals that then get possessed by a demon, and then the demon goes around stealing parts, energy, abilities, and pieces off of the members that are also being abused as they want to pull up power from the lower rank that is used to accumulate power for themselves, as they are like vampires, but energetically, because the earth doesn't reward evil. It so evil has to steal their abilities. And those people are annoying, and they're stealing from hundreds of people in the projects. And I do counters to them. And when I do, the pain goes away. And they've even, you know, sent a lot of death energy at me. It's also annoying. But then I master that. Do you think you have psionic influence or handlers that also steal from you?
Well, the last handler I had was a therapist. She knew a lot about aliens and forensics and stuff. She turned out to be a bad handler, so I fired her, but
Well, good job. And what I mean by handler, not just people that influence you locally, like with words and try to get you down a path, but like people from a distance that you may not ever meet or know, but will attach to a person and then drain them, steal from them, influence them emotionally, dump negative emotions onto them. If you start thinking certain ways, monitor that, and then react and get it out of that, or negatively influence thoughts in suicidal programs.
um, I don't think I have a suicide word. I mean, I have a word that'll make me pass out if I disobey my handler. But you could be programmed with a suicide word if you're a throwaway. I think I'm a little bit more valuable than a throwaway. I like to think so.
Right, like you're useful. That would be stupid for them to do that.
Yeah, it was pretty expensive to make, so I don't think they would just throw me away. Uh,
Yeah, the reason for those out there that are like, why are am I experiencing suicide programs? Not just people that are throwaways. It would go into, if you're so off the reservation, they can't control you anymore, and they can't, and you're a liability to the
yeah.
point where you're a threat. Like if you were to get a lot of your abilities back, which based on what I'm reading, not normal, not a normal person, uh, then, and you're starting to use them positively, they might try to throw that at you. Have you ever experienced crippling sadness and negative emotional influence in your life?
Um, I've been depressed before, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, yeah, sorry you went through that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just about to talk about the Men in Black.
Okay, yeah, this is an example of a weapon DNI creates. It's a Chrome Hound. They recruit people to drive these things. I used to play this simulation with J Ridge, and there's more information about Department of Naval Intelligence. You can go more into that in my session or whatever. These aliens are weird little aliens. They're called worms in Men in Black. They speak English. I think they come from a sand dune planet, if I remember correctly. I encountered them at a place called Room 16. I don't know where Room 16 was. I think it's somewhere in Houston. I was told it was like a NASA type facility. Might have been a DNI type facility. I'm not sure how I got there or how I left. I can't remember. I was very young. Um, I remember being old enough to play with Legos, so I was a little kid. I don't remember exactly how old I was. And this whole mind erasing stuff is soft disclosure. The small grays actually have their own version of this that's a lot better. And when it flashes you, you pass out, and then you have missing time, and the grays put you back. So their lights are a lot better than the ones the Men in Black have. Um, the the Fourth Kind is an interesting movie you should see. I vaguely remember Jay Ridge talking about how they wanted to capture this alien that was torturing people in Alaska. And I heard a little bit about it before the movie came out. When the movie came out, it kind of gave me a heart attack because it was so scary. Did you ever see The Fourth Kind?
Not yet, but I'll watch it. Thanks for the suggestion.
Yeah, it has real footage in it. It's pretty crazy that they hypnotize people that encountered this alien, and the alien speaks Sumerian and claims to be a Sumerian god. And they have like audio footage of the alien. So it's definitely worth checking out. This is a barbell shaped UFO. I couldn't find a good picture of one. This is the best picture I could find. But you need an infrared to see them. J Ridge told me they might be from Alpha Centauri. And I've been told Alpha Centaurians are strange looking and they're short, like a dwarf race. I couldn't find any insectoid pictures, but there used to be a video of insectoids that the government got rid of from Mexico.
Hmm.
And
What kind of insectoids?
they kind of look like praying mantises a little bit. Yeah. Their arms are double jointed, so they're kind of creepy. They communicate telepathically.
Yeah, they're very
When I
good.
by them, they showed me visions of a planet without a surface where they have to live underground. Um, yeah, I remember telling my pediatrician about them. His name was Dr. Reagan. He was one of George Bush's friends when I was a kid. Um, and he asked me to ask them if they were Republicans or Democrats. And apparently they just told me they cared about the environment. They didn't really care about politics. So that made me think about the Skull and Bones because my doctor, Dr. Reagan, was in the Skull and Bones. And he contacted Bush, and Bush told him that the aliens are real. So I thought that was interesting. Here's Bush in the Skull and Bones. And here's an Amarther. I've never encountered one, but I figured it's worth talking about them.
I've encountered them a few times. They're really
Yeah.
nice.
Okay.
It's very surprising. They're very empathic. I've also encountered really dark rays, but yeah, those were different looking. But yeah, these ones were nice. But you'll get frightened no matter what if a UFO comes out. That's jarring. Um, but yeah, yeah, some nice rays. They it was very hard telepathy. Like you could feel like really positive motion and all this information all at once really quickly that gave you a calming feeling. And then yeah, they gave me information about their species, so they're generous. Um okay, so you were saying, sorry.
Okay. That's interesting. I don't know much about them. I have no memories of them. I wanted to point out why people should vote for Kennedy this election. Because he'll reveal the UFO and alien information. Um, let's see, what else will he do? Will expose MK Ultra to the public.
So what kind of things do you want to expose or want to be declassified if you had a choice in the matter?
All this alien stuff, all this MK Ultra stuff. Um, Stuff like that. I think the government needs and the people are ready to learn about the aliens. And then I don't know why they're trying to keep mutations such a secret, like people are going to discriminate against us or something. Um, I think genetic engineering and cloning and stuff is just the way of the future. People are just going to have to accept it, and I think it should become part of the private sector. I don't think the government should be the only ones doing it. But here's a slide on Mr. Fantastic. I vaguely remember meeting him as a kid. He's stretchy. I don't know how he does it. Um, I took a Polaroid with him and Sue when I was a kid, and they told me I was the next generation or something. I don't remember it very well. There's Sue. She was a nice old woman when I met her. She could turn invisible and create this like radioactive shield around her. And it was all triggered by her emotions. She was a nice old woman. That's all I remember. There's Psylocke. I remember her showing up to my house when I was like in middle school, attempting to train me and Psylocke me. And I guess she wasn't very impressed with me and never contacted me again. It was a trippy experience being Psylocked.
That
Let's
like
see,
locking down your
Damien
psionic
Chop.
abilities?
Um, she could make this weird energy come out of her hand that like turned into like I guess like a sword or a knife. And she could turn into a desirable girl, Like she could make herself look like a girl that you desired. Um, so that's like what the Psylocking does. It's like a love spell or something that's supposed to work on you. I don't think it worked on me very well, and she got frustrated with it. Um, but yeah, it's a weird experience. She can make you see things. So seeing that come out of her hand was trippy. I didn't know if it was real or not. Um, yeah. And have you heard of Phil Snyder?
Yes. They
Okay.
that ended up dying for what they disclosed and being assassinated, unfortunately. But yeah, look for anyone out there, look up Phil Schneider and his disclosure on the deep underground military bases. It's frightening, sad, and but don't let it like box you into a belief that it's because it's a very dark belief of like because he doesn't mention anything about the positive sides of the war going on. So it can get you in a little bit of fear spiral, but it is good to know about. So it's true. But yeah, there's hope out there. Yeah, the Honobos.
Yeah, the Hanabu are made from three Mercedes-Benz engines, and they don't go into space. I'm not sure exactly how they work. And here's the sport model. It's one of the few UFOs that the small grays have given the Earth. Um, but yeah, uh, uh, the small grays that visited me as a kid had a craft that looked similar. It's hard to remember because they used a light to knock me out, so I didn't get to see it for very long. But yeah, those are most of my slides.
Yeah. What do you know about deep underground military bases? Do you have any interaction or memory of that type of thing?
I don't remember being in them. I remember J Ridge talking about them. Deep underground military bases have a train that goes up to Mach 2. I wonder if I spelled Mach right. Mach 2. Um, I know that like strange things like aliens and beasts live in them. Huh.
What do you think the military is doing, mutating humans to have abilities?
It's all about creating weapons or creating smart people that can create weapons.
Where do
That's
you
all.
think you were ever used as a weapon?
Was I ever used as a weapon? I don't know. I don't remember it. I think I was defective. Hmm. Huh. I was programmed so I could be used as one. I don't remember ever being used as one though.
Yeah, a lot of it, at least for the most people that are involved. The goal is not to have them remember so that they can be utilized again and put them back and they take care of themselves. So, do you know know about much about temporal dilation, abduction?
Abduction?
Yeah, like taken out of the timeline as if you never left and taken out, taken for a period of time for a used state, and then put back in with advanced ET holographic, bringing back to a 0 point blueprint of when you were taken and put back as if you never left, with memory wipes and a compartmentalized altar.
Okay. So, what are you talking about?
Oh, okay. I was wondering because it's hard for people to wrap their mind around that concept, to where beings with unique abilities or skills, past lives, whoever their soul is, rare DNA, being taken, abducted without them knowing, so that doesn't mess with the timeline. They don't notice as best as whoever's taking them can. And then it's a resource that can be used over and over again. And also with avatar-like projection of their consciousness into clone bodies, if their consciousness has skills, or the utilization of their DNA for clones in armies to fight wars.
Yeah, they can take you and put you back and do things to you. I don't know if they can alter time or not. Wouldn't surprise me if they could alter time. I know they have an Operation Looking Glass where they're trying to look through time, but yeah, I don't know how the time works when the aliens abduct you and put you back. If their ships alter time or not, or where they take you, I don't know. Before I did James Rink's interview, I vaguely remember waking up while I was being examined for like half a second, and then the light just made me pass out again. So once you see the light, you lose control of your body and can't move, and then you forget everything. So I didn't get a good look at the aliens.
Well, thank you for letting me know about that. Yeah,
I woke up with a needle mark on my stomach too, which was pretty weird.
yeah, with going in the memories, at least for me, sometimes it's for more time than I would think you could be taken for in the amount of time. So that led me to realize that there's something more going on, as well as the things like dream visitation. And if you want to go down the timeline rabbit hole of time travel, Project Pegasus, Tesla Vortal Tunnel technology, then advancements in this, and then the future coming back with time travel tech, and then anchoring that ability. The future military is even more so involved in utilizing people for their needs, and then looking for unique individuals that they can program with.
In James Rink's interview, I remembered fighting Beast, and I don't remember it now. Now I don't have any memories of encountering him, which is pretty weird. Um, but yeah, he was an arrogant. When I talked to him over the phone, he was really arrogant about how he like graduated college all early and made planes and stuff. Um, well, that was off topic. I was thinking about James Rink for some reason.
Okay. And what do you think it is required to make a mutant, but from your understanding, by the way?
You just need mutated DNA. Some people have weird abilities, and then I'm not a DNA scientist, but they mess with the embryo and the sperm and inject that mutant DNA into it somehow. Some people mutate later in life. They aren't born that way. Like when they hit adolescence, like Cyclops' eyes didn't do that until he was like 15 or something. If he was born that way, he would have, like mutilated his mother's womb or something as a baby. So some of them, the traits develop later in life. Yeah. I think green eyes is a mutation. Some mutations don't give you special abilities. They're just mutations. Hmm. It's like they're dominant traits, recessive traits, and then they're mutations. That's what a mutation is.
Uh, Another reason I bring this up, it's a fascinating topic. On my website, we go into psionic abilities and how to unlock them in people. And there's a lot of suppressants on this. We're also this rare experiment on Earth of super hybrid of many races and mutations locked away and dealing with all their drama. It's a candy store of things that can be unlocked in a person if they understand what is the limit. For people such as yourself, I read, if I may go into that, you are a huge generator. You produce tons of energy, and so lots of things want that, and they're willing to steal through draining portals, gateways, black holes, rips in space to pull and like a feeder tube away energy. Also, I've read on people there's things like matrices, and these little or big constructs with a framework that encompass another person, as well as simulations to encompass a catcher's mitt of energy to prevent outreach of their psionic influence over the rest of the environment, and drain from it, and then put that draining towards somewhere else, as well as energy harvesting systems. For me, as well as some other people, with migraines, I used to get tons of migraines just all the time. It was awful. And I had to read into what they are. Usually they're made of like shadow or evil or ego or darkness energy in like a little bit of with a water programming for the aspects of the brain and blood. And you can purify them in various ways to get rid of that negative programming with your psionic intention. And also, if there's attachment with an evil energy harvesting system, which if they want to steal that, or possession attachment, or prisons that would try to limit the expansion of the psionic influence and mind powers, then you can capture, break, or destroy those systems, and then align with the universe and get granted enough power in your heart, in your connection to your source, to break out of those unnecessary systems, and then suppress the dark forces on this planet from limiting the light, and then throw it back at them towards goodness and bring them to light as well, hopefully. But whatever you want to do. Have you been recently any experimentation with your mind over matter powers?
I haven't really experimented with much. I mean, I got to use my powers at room 17 a little bit just to see if I still had them when I was in a controlled environment. Out of a controlled environment, they aren't going to let me use them for the most part.
What were some that you remember utilizing, and we could like look into if you want those back, of course. If not, some.
um, just You know, sometimes it's nice not projecting thoughts into people's heads because it makes my thoughts private. It's nice having your own thoughts that not everyone around you hears them. So,
It's not an easy ability to control, right?
yeah, so having that turned off can be a good thing. I mean, sometimes in high stress situations, my abilities get triggered. At yeah, I remember at room 17, someone pissed me off, and I put my hand over him and pushed him down. Um, and either he was acting or I was pushing him down, and my eyes didn't go to the back of my head for some reason.
When you say push them down, make him collapse to the floor.
Yeah, yeah, he fell to the floor.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah, I mean, see,
Is that like a mobilization? Was he knocked out or he lost control of his body to like fall down?
here's a depiction of it right here. It's just pushing someone down with your hand.
So they
Um,
knocked him. Okay.
yeah, I was just pushing down with telekinesis. It pissed me off.
Okay, telekinesis. Do you like telekinesis?
I wonder if Nate Gray's going to show up in the new season of X-Men 97. Uh, yeah, I wish I could do it more without being activated, even though it can give me a migraine from hell. Yeah, there are lots of cool illustrations.
In the activation, you're talking about alter personalities, right?
Yeah, I wish I had a six-pack like that. I used to be in better shape. Not anymore, that's for sure. Okay.
In the being activated thing, are you talking about alter personalities, right?
Um, Altered personalities.
Like
Uh,
stored away abilities if to activate in like it's locked away.
um, yeah, there are different abilities that can be triggered that are locked away. Yeah, some of them might be gone forever, as far as I know. I don't know. Pretty much retired, I think. I think they got better genetically engineered people that don't have the faults I have now. I don't know why they're not showing up in the comics though. But they like to put flawed people in the comics, I guess. I don't know. Maybe they gave up on it. I wish I knew more from Peter the Insider. He doesn't like me very much. But he had that ACIO database or whatever. It's hard to get people that know stuff to talk. I think the Germans had a saying, those who talk don't know, and those who know don't talk. Yeah.
From what I've gathered about telekinesis, as a force that you can generate in your solar plexus, and it builds like a power, and then if you build enough power, you can increase the density in storage, and then release it with different systems of the body geared, such as eyes or mental force or will or vision, and your hands to amplify it. And then with training, goes past control of your own body to being able to control external. And then training over this can be done with things like light objects, psi wheels, things on a balance, strings, straws, as well as push, pull, understanding quantum physics of electromagnetics in accumulation of yin and yang output, and then being able to condense and curl, and increasing the forces of both yin and yang in the body. And yeah, I've been able to move certain little small objects, but every time I go into it, there are things that target it and steal the energy when you go to sleep. It's annoying, and you have to keep practicing over and over again with it feels like there's a barrier over each, and then so my job is to look through all the things that go into the barrier and then bring that out to the world so that people can demonstrate these abilities more easily, even in a parasitic environment. So don't give up. You can absolutely get any ability you want back. You can earn it again as well, even if it's stolen or suppressed. And you just got to find the to-do list of how to build it up again. And I believe in you.
Okay. Yeah.
For our audience, how can people reach you? And if is there anything you are doing in projects with and naming again, for those that are interested, we're doing a full disclosure now conference, and it's if you want to buy tickets, fulldisclosuremovement.org. And Nate and myself will be presenting here. If you want to catch our presentations, we'll see you there, and we got things to share. So go subscribe to YPX News, YouTube. And what other ways can people reach you?
You can search Nate YPX News or Nate YPX Gray on YouTube. You can contact me at nateypxgray@me.com. You can register at supersoldierforum.com and join the forum and participate in the postings there if you want. And yeah, those are great ways to reach me. If you want to be interviewed on my show, just let me know and I might interview you. If you want to write articles, I'm looking for writers to help write articles on ypxnews.com. Yeah. So I run soldierforum.com and YPX News right now.
Any other projects you have going on?
I have a pop CD at queenpoodle.com that has an image of the service dog I used to have on it. I figured that was an interesting way to raise money. It has electronic music on it. You can stream that from any streaming service or buy it on iTunes. That was a side project I did. It's not making much money. And it has electronic music. I got the idea from Haley Meyer. She was teaching me how I could buy songs on the internet and stuff. Yeah.
And do you have a way for people to contact you directly, or if they want like support in any way besides your Super Soldier Forum, or is that the way to get the whole?
Yeah, NateYPXGray@me.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And I'm Sean Bond of PsionicLeague, PsionicLeague.com, PsionicLeague YouTube, and you can reach me at PsionicLeague@gmail.com, also on Facebook, Sean Bond. And yeah, lots of services. My membership has Psionic abilities and videos, doing consultations and services, healing, release of pain and stress and negative programming, and help for people that have interesting memories and remember SSP stuff if they want reading or past life stuff. And also we'll be doing retreats to and workshops and tours around different places of power, pyramids, sacred places around the planet. So if you want to get involved in that and activate your superpowers and from these places of power, let me know in the inquiry. Yeah, we'll again be both presenting at fulldisclosuremovement.org at this Florida conference for Full Disclosure Now. So sign up, get your tickets, and there will also be an online streaming service. So look out for that. You can also type message Brian saying at Facebook if you want to learn about how to get that information. Anything else you would like to share with our audience and inspiring words maybe, or something for people that find relief in what the things you've been saying?
I'm on Facebook too as Nate Gray. I'm on X as Nate YPX Gray, I think. And I'm on Gab as well. I'm on some stuff, Instagram. Yeah, I can be reached in multiple ways. And I hope you all do more research and learn more about this stuff and subscribe to our channels. And yeah, do your research and, get more people interested in learning about the truth and stuff. Yeah.
And thank you all for coming. Yeah, please like, share this video if you want to see more. And yeah, let us know in the comments if you want to see more of Nate on. And show him your love and get us past the banning and the shadow banning and the YouTube algorithm by sharing with a few people that you know. And yeah, hope you all have a wonderful day. Subscribe to both our channels. I'll see you guys later.
I have Patreon too.
Yeah, and if you want to donate to Nate, find him on Patreon.
Okay.
Okay. See you guys later. Have a good one.